The Speaker, on behalf of the entire membership of the House of Representatives, offers House Resolution number 364, a resolution of tribute offered as memorial for Stanley Stopczynski, former member of the Michigan House of Representatives. Whereas it is with great sorrow that members of this legislative body learned about the passing of Stanley Stopczynski. He'll be remembered as a dedicated public servant and leader who was committed to his constituents in Wayne County in the 11th and 19th districts. Whereas Stanley Stopczynski was born in Detroit to Representatives Stephen and Cassie Stopczynski, he graduated from Sacred Heart Seminary High, attended St. Mary's College, and went on to attend the Michigan Institute of Banking. He married his wife Donna on September 3, 1955, in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Stanley Stopczynski served in the United States Army and Cavalry from June 1957 to May 1959, spending 15 months of that time doing training maneuvers in Germany. As a young man, he wanted to be a priest. When he found out that the priesthood was not his calling, he built a career in banking at the City Bank of Detroit and reached the top of his field at Wayne Oakland Bank as an assistant vice president and branch manager. Whereas Stanley Stopczynski was first elected to the House of Representatives in 1978, where he served his constituents and the people of Michigan for 14 years. For his first 2 terms, he served alongside his brother Thaddeus, who also represented part of Wayne County. As member of the House of Representatives, he served as the Majority Floor Whip, chaired the Liquor Control Committee, and was the vice chair for the committees on corrections and public utilities, and was a member of the committees on public health, roads and bridges, economic development and energy, social services and youth, transportation, and corporations and finance. Stanley Stopczynski was also part of the congregation at both Our Lady of Good Counsel Catholic Church and St. Mary's Catholic Church, and he was a member of the Polish Legion of American Veterans and the LaSalle College Park Improvement Association. And whereas Stanley Stopczynski is survived by his 2 children, Kathleen and Michael, 4 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, 2 sisters-in-law, and over 20 nieces and nephews whom he dearly loved. His wife, parents, and 2 brothers, Stephen and Thaddeus, preceded him in death. His family described him as a very smart, kind, and extremely generous man with a great sense of humor and a deep love for his family, who was loved by all in every walk of his life. He'll be greatly missed and fondly remembered. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Michigan House of Representatives that we offer this expression of our highest tribute to honor the memory of Stephen Stopczynski, a member of this legislative body from 1979 to 1992. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to the Stopczynski family as evidence of our lasting esteem for his memory.
To speak to the resolution, the chair recognizes Representative Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, a lot of us are going to be watching several of our colleagues depart this House in the next few days. And as you think about the legacy that so many folks today are leaving behind over their years of service, one has to think about the ability that so many of those who've come before us in this sacred chamber and the impacts they've had for their state. Now, I'm from Hamtramck, so one of the first things we learn is how to say Polish last names. And what I can tell you is there is a long legacy of plenty skis that have served in local, state, and federal government. But I had an opportunity to talk with the family here today, and you could just tell the sense of love and the passion for service that Stanley and his family had. You know, as I was talking to his son, I asked, what was it like growing up knowing that your uncle and your father and your grandparents were also in public service? He says, you know, my dad was a bit of a maverick, and he was somebody that looked at policy the way it was supposed to be looked at, through the lens of, does it make sense for my community? Did it make sense for the east side of Detroit? And he wasn't someone that towed the party line. It wasn't someone that just was given a bill and voted on it, but as his son would say, and I'm going to spare the explicitives, he would read the whole bill from start to finish. And when colleagues would come to him and say, hey, can you tell us what's in this legislation? He would say, it's not my job to do your job. I'm not the clerk. And I think it's a reminder of what we should do in this chamber in terms of the service that we have to embody here in this chamber. And Stanley's life, I think, was an example of that, and I hope one day that although I'm from the Polish enclave in Wayne County, my last name doesn't start with end with a ski. I hope that my legacy here will be in the same vein that Stanley's was, one that was a person who was rooted in service, that loved his family, and you could see that today. I mean, his great-grandchild is with us, and I gave him some of the clerk's cookies, and he's very grateful for that. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to share a little bit about what I've come to know about Stanley over the last couple days. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All members in favor of the memorial resolution, please rise. The resolution is adopted. For a special recognition, the chair recognizes Representative Ayash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Joining us today are his daughter, Kathy, his son, Michael, his son-in-law and daughter-in-law, Dale and Valerie, 2 grandchildren, Charlotte and Elizabeth, and Shalom, his great-grandson, who's here with us today, sitting right behind the desk.
Members, please join me in welcoming the family of former Representative Stopczynski and thanking them for their many years of service. Chair recognizes Representative Ayash.
Joining us today, Mr. Speaker, in the South Gallery are family members of Thaddeus, a former representative as well, who served with the Rep. Stopczynski. So we wanted to recognize them as well, sitting in the South Gallery.
Thank you to the family, and thank you, former Representative, for joining us today.